And so starts the world of Minecraft. The wild Wolfie looks around in confusion, not knowing where she starts. She seeks higher elevation, but notices some of her own kind, and runs fearfully away. Desperately, she tries to escape, not ready to deal with the wildlife of this world. Unsure, she continues to scavenge in a circle, hoping to find an open space, while she finds her trees. Upon seeing a cow, she is hopeful for the water source, but this is but merely a pool. Upset, she continues to try to find higher ground to search for the river. She sees an opening. No trees abound. Hopeful, she rushes towards there, but notices the crevices. Scared, she waits and watches. There's pigs, and remembers that this is survival, and therefore she needs food. She keeps in mind the piggies. With even more pigs, she is hopeful to have found a herd. One must always be careful of the pitfalls in Minecraft, as they are everywhere and cannot wait to trip you up, sending you into a deep abyss of doom. In the distance, mountains arise. She hopes to find a good vantage point. Careful, she jumps further across the plains and proceeds onward, finding cows and more sets of water. She notices a crevice and has found a deep layer of Minecraft. This is a very, very popular choice of potential exploration for a future time. Satisfied with the location, she begins to hit local trees, needing this wood for supplies and tools. Sure, she uses the very bark to beat upon the tree itself, and then realizes she does not know which is faster, the hand or the bark. It is about the same. Pressing on, she continues to collect as much of the tree as she can. Happy with her scavenge, she goes to find more trees, and is mildly perturbed by the sound on the side. Too many leaves in the way, she decides to clear out the way in order to properly see her target. Curious as to what will happen, aside from the lovely sound of crunching leaves, she decides to break some. She also beats upon the grass for mere enjoyment as it breaks apart. Knowing she has very little time, she tries to make a crafting table, but cannot remember how to make the planks needed. She tries many times, but has failed to make what she actually requires. But she has discovered planks. Realizes that you must take it 3 steps beyond to get to where you need, and has discovered a shortcut. Wolfie feels smart, but is unsure where to set the mighty crafting table. Seeing a puddle, she realizes fresh water will be useful in building a house, as well as all these livestock, a valid resource. Not wanting to waste any time, she finds the crafting table and uses the crafting tools to gather. But she cannot find the tools. She is confused. She knows that these work, and that she can do it with the sticks, but does not understand how this works as of yet. Remembering that she needs a door for her little hutch, she builds one out of birch. She can build more sticks, but still cannot make the tools she desperately needs, as she does not realize that the recipes must be unlocked. She has discovered that the recipes are now unlocked, and quickly builds out all of the basic tools needed in Minecraft, but has used all the wood in that frame. The wild Wolfie has a certain preference to what weapons and tools are set, and prepares herself for the world's adventure. With wooden tools, The wild Wolfie now can chop trees much faster and be much more prepared for the night. Distracted by the birch seeds, she makes sure to tear out some leaves in case they too were hiding something extra. She discovers that she left many things behind after having destroyed another of the trees. Careful of the crevice, she goes around the sides to try to find more trees for ease of destruction. With so many leaves, she tears into them instead, much closer range. She doesn't leave anything behind aside from the leaves. Upset with the land, she wishes to get some dirt to flatten and shape out where she hopes to build her house one day. Using quick, efficient methods, even as the shovel will fall out of favor. Carefully surveys the area, making sure that she will not accidentally throw herself overboard. Worried, she makes sure to dig far from the edge, and yet she knows she must dig down to be able to reach. Using selected tricks discovered via 7 Days to Die and previous Minecraft, she decides to build a stairway down to hopefully reach the more useful items below. The wild Wolfie has now reached Stone Age, not wanting to waste resources. She decides to use up her tools before going to Stone Age. Unsure if some of these blocks are the deadly gravel, she destroys all of them top to bottom. Excited, she notices on the corner of her eye coal and changes her mind. It would be faster to have stone pickaxe than a wood one. She is mildly perturbed by the sounds of a pig over her head, but pushes on anyway. Finds the first tool available and proceeds to make it, as well as making a forge, knowing that she too will need to build a smith to get even better tools. The sounds of creatures and monsters are close, yet she does not know where they are. Having run out of wood, she realizes that she cannot yet make some of these things. Unsure as to where the sound's coming from, she proceeds to ignore them and continue on her way. But the sound of monsters have reminded her that night will be there soon and that she still needs a house. And decides the fastest house would be that dug into the side of a mountain. The stone tools are working much faster for the wild Wolfie and provides much more assistance. Regretting the decision already, she decides to replant and build out a tunnel over top so as to provide a more secure location. The sun sets right in front of the wild Wolfie, and she realizes she must hurry to build her new stronghold inside the mountain. She doesn't want to go too deep, however, as that may prove yet her downfall should she pop out the other side. Always obsessed with symmetry, especially gained from her time in 7 Days to Die, the wild Wolfie goes and makes sure that everything is indeed equal and the same. Deciding that she didn't like the extra and wants a longer tunnel, she builds out further. She regrets heavily not having gotten the coal, as it now grows too dark for her to see properly, and, even harder still, to show off what she has done. Knowing she will one day make a better house, she decides to not make a dearer home, and instead leave it as such. Not willing to take the risk, the wild Wolfie stays inside, and proceeds to instead make more wood. Already having forgotten her lesson, though she has discovered yet another trick. Realizing that she needs the proper planks instead of wood, she then makes it correctly into plank, and proceeds to make a secondary set of everything she requires in order to survive the night. Without the light source, it still grows ever harder. Realizes that a chest would be good in case she had accidentally died. Needs another recovery spot. The wild Wolfie proceeds to search upon every object, and realizes again she does not have coal. She left it behind. Truly a mistake for the wild Wolfie. Slowly, her hunger grows, and she realizes she must venture out during the dreaded night before being able to recover any food source. Worried about death, the wild Wolfie puts aside all unnecessary equipment and building materials, should she happen to die upon her exit. She decides that the furnace may as well be put down, so that she may cook whatever she finds. Hopeful of a quick trip, the wild Wolfie proceeds to exit her domicile, and notices one of the enemies in the distance. She has heard of the Ender of Men, and knows not to make eye contact. Attempting not to look directly at him, she proceeds to go and find a food source. The local sheep, who provide both wool and meat she needs. So distracted by the hit of the horse, she doesn't notice the creeper until it is almost too late. It attempted to explode, but did not catch her in its blast. The wild Wolfie has grown scared. There are now spiders and more monsters, and she regrets having to have gone out so late at night. Especially without a light source. Remember, children, do not mine at night. Hopeful, she prays that the door will be enough to hold back the wild spider, and proceeds to carefully listen as it shouts beyond the edge of her door. Pleased to have a light source as well as potential food coming soon, she prepares a bed, knowing she will need to rest to help pass the night in her proper home. Curious, she finds the other craftables after having discovered the use of wool. Scared, but happy that she has found meat, the wild Wolfie prepares to settle down, starting the night to craft and to have enjoyed mighty food. Except for the fire has gone out, and she has found that the wood does not last nearly as long as coal. Pleased with her discovery, the wild Wolfie waits for morning time. Seeing the moon set, the wild Wolfie proceeds to exit her domicile, ever hopeful the sun will soon rise, burning her enemies to ash. Spotting a lone zombie, she goes and attempts to fight it off, hoping to prove her bravery. Having slain it, she gathers some much required experience, allowing her to further advance in the world of Minecraft. Knowing the trees and darkness help spawn more monsters, she moves forward, afraid of what might else come. Spotting a skeleton in the water, she's hopeful to beat him, but cannot manage to duck his attacks. Being distracted, she doesn't notice the creeper coming up from beside her, and almost receives a painful lesson. She sees yet another creeper and a spider waiting for her. She debates her options, but decides that it would be wiser not to go after them, and instead goes back for the coal, after enjoying the show of a zombie dying in the sunlight. Knowing there is coal, she decides to go ahead and finish this particular stairway, as well as reach the all-needed resource. Ever cautious, she decides to make sure of what's below her before stepping forward and destroying the blocks under her. Knowing that coal is the more precious of resources and wildly useful in the making of torches and fire, she just picks up as much as she can, noting the existence of others right across the way. Scared of what might be below and not below her feet, the wild Wolfie carefully digs up the rock to see where and if there is indeed a surface underneath. Unsure, she can't make up her mind on how to dig, and proceeds to make a few adjustments. Still anxious, she digs as much as she possibly can, excited for the new resources, and hopeful for the next day. Knowing she still needs to get up, she proceeds to dig further at the staircase, always careful and ever sure. Realizing it will be too high for her at one point, she rebuilds and fills in the missing parts. Not upset in the least by a missing product, she proceeds to make sure that the way is safe for her to potentially further go down and find other resources. She makes note of the pieces of ore that she can see, indeed, and proceeds to wonder as to how to get down without breaking her foot. The presence of wooded blocks signify a potential mine shaft. She watches in amusement as the zombie below her fries in the sunlight. Noticing she sees more iron below, but knows the dark caves will not be safe to go without a light source. Ever cautious, but wanting a wide surface, she makes a flat walkway to be able to cross the two gaps of the cavern. Spotting more iron ore, she is ever hopeful that maybe she too can reach them someday. Unsure, she goes back up, knowing she will need torches to explore further down. Realizing her error earlier, she proceeds to encase the walkway from up top, so a rushed, speedy job down does not signal an entire death. Hesitant, she looks over and denotes the entire length that she still has yet to go. Hopeful for more supply, she goes back to her crafting box and discovers a witch in the distance. Seeing the witch is starting to brew something, and realizing that that is one of the sources of the many weird noises she heard during the night, she goes to take care of the witch. Unprepared for something thrown at her, the wild Wolfie worries of her poisoning, and proceeds to try to beat the witch with a stone sword. Always worried about ducking and weaving, the wild Wolfie realizes her error and tries to run away. Hopeful that food will help restore her life, she goes and runs into the hovel she knows can potentially save her. Hopeful that she doesn't die and lose everything, she proceeds to put the bed down, in hopes that she could respawn there. Little does she know that it does not work that way. Scared, but still desperate to try to take care of the witch, the wild Wolfie continues to beat upon them with a stone sword. The witch is unable to face the correct path to fight the wild Wolfie, and has run out of potions. Also, her aim sucks. Vanquished, the witch gives one last cry as the wild Wolfie jubilantly celebrates her victory over such a wicked foe. She heads back home and removes her bed once more to be placed upon a better house. Satisfied the area is now clear, she goes back to the crafting table. Unsure, the wild Wolfie proceeds to clean up more of the yard, knowing that the grass will not help her case, and yet even hide goodies on the inside. Pleased with their success, she goes and begins to clean the area that she has now set aside for her house, filling the gaps in the ground with blocks of dirt that she has gathered. For the ease of those watching, this process has been sped up so that you may not spend hours watching as she sets aside and fills in the area that she has deemed worthy. Ever mindful of breaking extra blocks, she uses the inappropriate tool in an attempt to make sure that no action steps are taken. On accident. Pleased with the work, she begins setting down a row of stone, hopeful for the long wall she plans to build. Realizing she is now out of stone, the wild Wolfie decides to just merely put her bed down, in hopes that it will be a safe location someday in the future. Knowing there is a nearby location of stone and other supplies that she is desperately needing, the wild Wolfie builds yet another box to hold any further things in case of sudden death. She is distracted by the new things that she has found after having collected coal from nearby locations. Obsessed with making sure everything is lit brightly, she continues to make as many torches as possible. Satisfied with the amount, she begins to set off on her adventure, heading for the mines below. Hearing a weird sound, hearing a peculiar musical entrance, she wonders what might have been, but continues on, knowing that night will soon fall yet again. Finding an easy location of more coal and stone, the wild Wolfie proceeds to tear into the side of the cavern, digging out excess stone and supply so that she may continue to build her own design of a house. From the corner of her eye, she notices that it grows darker and begins to worry of the coming night. Finding it too much, she proceeds to exit the tunnel and returns home, knowing she only has so long before the monsters appear to make her regret mining at night. Using newfound torches, she proceeds to light up the area without having to use the furnace. tools she had been using all day are starting to wear down. She proceeds to make replacements out of the very stone she had hoped to collect for her house, and knows she will still have to grind much more supply. In preparation, she makes a secondary pickaxe and prepares herself for the next day. A benefit to multiple furnaces is well known by the wild Wolfie, in that it is much faster and easier to smelt many things at once with more furnaces. And we will leave off this documentary as the Wolfie settles into her home, preparing for the next morning. We will see you in the next episode of Minecrafting with Wolfie. Good night, and we'll see you next time.